Yo, how's it going? It's here. So I share a whole bunch of crazy crap, but I've never actually given anyone any positive tools to do anything. So I thought I'd try and do that today. We're going to have a little lesson on how to deal with transient entities. Most of what you would consider ghosts, as some of these things just take on familiar forms or appear as such a blah blah blah. Let's cover the lesson. So the first thing we're going to learn about is you are what you eat. This is very, very important. If you are afraid of something, if you're afraid, a transient entity, any transient entity consumes transient entity, consumes emotion, feeling, willpower. So if you've got something in your home that you've suddenly just noticed is there and you get a shot of anxiety, all right? But it doesn't go away. It continues and you try to seek out whatever the heck's gone on and it's confusing and blah, blah, blah. Then in a day or two, something bigger happens, something moves, all right? And you freak out again and you're wondering what the hell's happening. Maybe you've pulled out your phone. This escalates and continues over weeks and weeks and weeks. Anyone who has experienced this kind of activity will tell you that it escalates, it increases over time. Now, the reason for this is because an entity who consumes energy wants the purest amounts. Now, the two most purest amounts are fear and love, or contentment, joy, positivity. Any kind of positive growth, positive movement is the cure and the opposite of fear. So if an entity comes into your home, more often than not, they come in blank each time. They come in hungry. If a transient entity becomes hungry, they forget what food tastes like. And every environment tastes different. So they're not aware specifically of what they're eating. They merely wish to continue eating. So if they move into a home and you feed them fear the first time, they are going to recognize that as the food source of the area, and they are going to then test it again. If you feed more, they will escalate this behavior continuously until you are pretty much forced to leave. Or you start having grandparents appearing over your children's bed, or your children saying some big dark man's there, or more often than not, these transient entities, without realizing it, take on a familiar shape. Because they can't directly be seen, they are perceived. You can't perceive something you've never seen and you can't understand, so you're going to see it as something you recognize. More often than not, kids are going to see it as a big man, or a grandparent, or some weird creature. A hairy monster. They're going to associate it with something that caused them, the child, to feel that once before. More often than not, if they feel a little shot of fear, it's because they saw a scary monster once in a children's program before the big good guys came and stopped the scary monster. Sorry, just letting my dog out. So that is the associated thought they have with what they see. But the thing isn't as the same as the monster, isn't specifically scary because it doesn't attack them. It doesn't do anything. It usually just stands there because it doesn't need to physically interact with it. It literally just stands near you or in the room or in the vicinity and consumes whatever you're feeling. The reason they interact with children is because children tend not to freak out all over the place and run away and make the situation uncomfortable for the entity. So the entity will just sit there with the child. The child will play tea party with it, play bear, play dolls. The entity will do nothing but sit there because it doesn't need to do anything but sit there. And to the child, this entity is whatever the child sees it as. So at first she sees it as a big man or a big scary monster or a big something, but then it becomes a friend because it's not specifically dangerous. However, these creatures do often become protective of their food source. So if they become attached to a child, they will become defensive of the parent if the parent tries to take their food away. See, what you have to get about these entities, they're not inherently dangerous at all. They can actually be really helpful and really good influences on an environment if you only feed them good energy. If you are aware that something is there, that this entity is in your home and has moved in, it's not dangerous to you. It is not going to take food out of your fridge. It's not going to empty your bank account. It's not going to do weird shit to your kid in your sleep. It's not even going to cause them to have dreams and stuff. It is just there. And it will eat good energy as much as it will eat bad energy. And the funny thing about good energy, it happens while you're just living your lives. So this entity does nothing. It just, you'll never see it. You'll never hear it. You'll never know that it's there. However, if someone broke into your home, they'd probably know it was there. Because they become defensive of their food. And if you are a happy family and everything is going happy and well, and then something unexpected happens that may throw the situation into turmoil, the entity may well defend against the home. There are people who talk about guardian angels all over the place who encountered a similar entity but were not afraid of it, just assumed by some religious belief or some predetermined mental state that it wasn't dangerous. It was a friend. It was a protector. And that is the feeling that they give this thing that follows them around. And man, it will follow them everywhere, possibly for the rest of their life, if they continue to be aware of it and feed it the food that it likes. Or that it becomes accustomed to. Because each time, an entity will tend to continue to consume the food it's given the first or second time. If you're afraid the first time, it's not specifically bad, right? Because the first time is always just a test. So your family, you all can sit together, sit down. Best thing you can do is give it a name for yourselves. Because if it has a name, it's a friend. Unidentified things don't have names. That's why they're unidentified. But if it has a name, it's identified. It's just there. It's the ghost in the house or the friendly spirit or the something. And then it's like, oh, that's more food than I was getting in that one little fearful moment. I think I might just keep eating this food, and it'll just sit down and just chill. And you won't see it. You won't feel it. It'll just, sometimes you might feel its presence in the room. I often do. I have one in my home that moved in about 2 months ago. I call Leech, which seems pretty fitting considering it leeches energy off me. But as I'm aware of it, and most of what is in my home is very pleasant, very understanding, nothing happens. But I do feel it sometimes. It's like, I don't know, it's like someone walks through the room if your eyes were closed. It's an interesting feeling. Like, even if your eyes were closed, if someone walked a few feet in front of you through the room, you'd feel the air move. You just feel their presence pass. It's kind of a feeling like that. My dog just came back in. So, if you have an entity in your home, you can't leave, and it's already started freaking out because you freaked out, it's freaked out, the whole situation's freaking out, you don't know what to do, it's not the end of the world. You are not powerless. It is going to take a few weeks to transition, but you can. Because nothing wants to be upset. And if you're scared, funnily enough, even though this creature is eating, it's also afraid. Unintentionally, it is a collection of fear. And it's not fun to be like that. So if you're able to push your fear down, if you're able to accept that there is quite a powerful now entity inside your home that is going to want to freak you out now, because that's the food it's been getting. But you have to starve it out. You have to starve it of fear, because it is going to want to eat, and it may escalate for a couple of days until it runs out of steam, because they do run out of energy. Like they use energy same as we do. They have a metabolism, they metabolize food, or they wouldn't have to keep eating. So you can starve the creature out. And this isn't bad, because you're starving it out with positivity. because it's wondering what the hell is happening. Suddenly there's no food anymore, and there's this new and unrecognizable thing that it doesn't even know yet that it can eat. But you need to continue this. Now, the most effect you can have is willful effect. Yes, you will have a positive effect. If you guys just stop being afraid, ignore the weird shit going on, say, oh, hi, dude, how's it going? That's not going to work on me anymore. Sorry, you need to find a better way to eat. Eventually, it will all stop, and it will be forced to consume the new energy, the new food source, which is positivity. And then it will transition, and all the activity will stop. This won't happen with every single entity, but it will happen out of 9 out of 10 of them. There are humanoid demon spirits from the ancient world that are far more difficult to affect. However, if you encounter one of these, usually no one stays in the area very long because doors slam loudly, things smash to the floor, pictures fly off the wall, walls creak, and it sounds like people are walking around and there's whispers in the walls. It is freaky shit, man. No one stays around with stuff like that. Usually you just pull the house down, demolish the material, and eventually the energy just dissipates. But if you leave the structure on the land and just leave it alone, man, that thing just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And the isolation, because human isolation is the worst. And if it's a human demon from God knows how long ago, or that, yeah, anyway, that isn't overly important how a demon is formed. What's important is how to deal with a human demon. If we're dealing with a regular transient earthly entity, usually they appear as ghosts or just shadow creatures or weird shit happening in your house, they're perfectly easy to deal with. That's perfectly fine. However, if you've got a situation where you've got one of these super haunted places, and I'm talking about one of the ones that they don't even mention because they've been locked down by the government, you just demolish the area. You have to clear the structure more than anything. They're bound to anything human-made because these entities are not Earth-based. They're human. So they are bound to the human structure. You just tear the house down. The land's fine. I wouldn't build straight on top of it again. Make sure nothing's buried under the ground. Don't leave any artifacts behind of any kind. You need to remove every single piece of material, every piece of paint, every chip of wood, everything, every bit of concrete, the path, the handrails. If there are trees that died and grew in a gangly way, get rid of them. Just get rid of everything, and you can cleanse the land, and yeah, it'll be fine. But if you're just dealing with a regular entity, super easy to deal with. You just have to starve it. Hold yourselves, stay together, right? As a unit, as a family. If you separate, it'll separate you. It'll take you apart and freak you out by yourself, where you're vulnerable. Because as soon as you're on your own, you're vulnerable. But with your missus, your kids, you're all chilling together, that's when you're perfectly safe. And it doesn't matter what happens around you, as long as you three are together, all right, facing each other, facing each other, you are protected no matter what happens behind you. We are humans. We are a lot more powerful than anyone realizes. That focus on those two people, each of you, right, in that triangle, are protected. All right, it does not matter what happens behind you. The dude might be attacked, but just focus on your family, bro. That's what you're there for, to protect your family. You won't get hurt too bad. Probably something will bump you on the head or whack you in the back, but it's not like you're going to get impaled, so just chill out. But you're protected together, always. And you just need to starve it out for a few days. Do not be afraid. You do not need to be afraid. This is the most important thing, because it is going to try and scare you. It's going to do the things that scared you before, because it worked. Man, it's just going to repeat the process. So you need to, this time, not react. Or react in a different way. React in a positive way. Sort of laugh it off and go, right, now I understand what's happening. You're not my grandfather. You're not some axe murderer. You're a freaking hungry transient thing that moved in here and are taking all these forms to freak me out because it's working perfectly well and I'm feeding you. No more, buddy. No more. I'm aware of what you are. I'm aware of what you're doing. And I'm also aware that positive energy will feed you in the same way. So that's now what we're going to be feeding you. And you're just going to deal with it. Because this is still our space. And they need us to live, that they are eating from us. So this space is ours. We don't, as far as I can tell, we don't specifically need them to survive. We're not even aware of them. But they do need us. It's just how it works. But if you're nice, you'll have a protector. If you're fearful and screaming all over the place and jumping up and down, you're going to have paintings flying off the walls and kids telling you the grandparents are standing over them while they're sleeping. So it's, no one wants that. So positivity and love. And man, so just a fair warning, the positivity and love thing, quite often the kid's still going to wake up and have the grandparents standing smiling at the end of their bed, but they're not going to be scary. They're going to be the happy memory the kid had of the grandparent standing there smiling at him, or the day they gave him an awesome present, or the day they made him feel good or feel safe. Kids love feeling safe, man. So the smile on grandma's or grandpa's face that day he made her feel safe is the day she is going to, or the depiction of him she's going to see when looking at this entity. And it's just going to stand there and watch her. And funnily enough, if you're all given positive energy, dude, that thing in the room is standing there protecting her. Because in her sleep, kids dream of some of the most incredible stuff. And he's just standing there siphoning energy. He's not hurting her. And we expel so much goddamn energy, it just goes out all over the place. So we could eat and eat and eat and eat and eat, and it's not going to affect us in any way. They don't take anything from us. We freely give our energy out all over the place, whether there's shit there to eat it or not. So having one of these things around to siphon off the excess negative and positive energy is actually a good thing. It creates balance in your home. They're actually really cool, amazing symbiotic entities who have existed alongside intelligent life here for as long as history has existed. So they're not going anywhere. And because the forests and the mountains and the areas that they used to live have been inhabited or cleared, they're now going to inhabit people's homes. There aren't that many animals to get emotion from, so they're going to come and get it from us. So be nice, be understanding, be respectful, give it a name, and it'll be like a guardian spirit rather than something messing with your head. But I hope that helps some people. I really do. Have a great day, everyone. Be safe.